discussing about the uh, evolution of mobile from 1G, right? How it is impacting the society. And I just said about 1G. Okay, so let me say about 2G, then 3G, then I will stick to 4G. Okay. Yeah. So as I said, the 1G mobile started in the year 1980s in some of the countries. Okay, so these are some of the standards I said. One is analog mobile phone system, Nordic mobile telephone system, another thing. Okay, so the basic idea of this mobile communication is to provide a seamless mobility to the users. The basic drawback of this first generation device was the handheld device was big in size, and its weight is also more, and it is more cost also, but battery life was less, and this technology can accommodate only few number of users, and that too uh, it requires more gap between the means frequency gap between the users, and as well as its capacity is limited. Okay, means what I mean to say is it can accommodate only one user over a one channel. Okay, the next generation is the 2G. So it has a different versions. In that, the first one is a digital analog mobile telephone system. So that is a basic 2G system. Then GSM came. That is a global system for mobile communication. The updated version of GSM is the GPRS. That is a General Packet Radio Service. There is a global system for packet radio service. It is then CDMA1. So these are the different versions of 2G. So basically here in 2G it has improved the voice capacity, okay, by digitizing the signal, okay, by digitizing the analog signal, and even the size of the handheld device has been reduced. So it is of a pocket size, okay, and even the battery life of this phone also increased. And this 2G standard can accommodate more number of peoples, and this is one of the technology which has been established at most of the places. It has almost reached worldwide. Okay, so just I say what is that is early mobile 2G technology enabled more number of users per channel. Though here also there is a still requirement of large gap of the spectrum between users to avoid the interference, but it can support more than one user per channel. Okay, it can support more than one user per channel. That is the advantage of this. Yes, Vandana, can you unmute? Vandana. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Still, even in 2G also, it requires a large gap of spectrum between the users to avoid the interference. As I said, but it can support more than one user per channel. But in case of 1G, it was able to support only one user per channel. Okay, but here it can support more than one user per channel. So that is the advantage. With that, what we can say is it can accommodate more number of users. So just as an illustration, so here there is a truck, right? In the earlier case, means in case of 1G, only one user was there. So here, with respect to this, we have shown three users. Means it can accommodate more than one user per channel. Okay, so that is the uh, analogy what we have illustrated here. So three users can talk simultaneously over a single channel. Okay, and there will be a rigid delivery schedule whether or not the user is actually talking. Okay, I will come to that. What is that? So to say some of the advantages of this 2G technology, what I can say is it can be based on TDMA system. Okay, earlier 1G was based on FDMA, means the type of multiple access technique used was FDMA, that is frequency division multiple access there. In case of 2G, and these two standards, that is DAMPS and GSM, using TDMA as its multiple access technique. So it can accommodate more number of users and even, okay. And how it is possible to accommodate more number of users? Because the digital transmission enabled the compression of the voice and as well as multiplexing of multiple users per channel. So here there is given an example. So as we all know, the voice frequency lies in the range of what? Any one of you can say? I ask this question very frequently. Even in the last semester also I used to ask. What is the voice frequency range? Yes, any one of you can share your understanding about the voice frequency range. I need not mention your name quickly. Yes, there is no point in sitting like this. I'm asking few questions which are very basic. I'm asking what is the voice frequency range? Yes, Vandana, can you say? Vandana.
Sir, it's
Huh.
100 to 300 hertz for men and 200 to 400 hertz.
What is this Vandana? Voice frequency range. I might have told 100 times this, even while explaining PCM. Okay. I told very clearly what is the voice frequency range and what is the audio frequency range. Hmm? Yes, so what about others? What about Anup Ganesh? Yes, Anup.
Sir, 100 to 120 hertz.
100 to 120 hertz. What is this? Hmm? Yes, others. What about others?
Sir, 300 to 3.4 kilohertz. Sir.
Hmm. So you could search from Google. Vandana?
Yes,
Hmm?
sir.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
So earlier what value you told? Huh? See, voice frequency range, I said it is from 300 hertz to 3400 hertz, and it will be rounded off to 4 kilohertz, and it will be sampled at 8 kilohertz. Okay, so with 8, each user voice will be sampled at 8 kilohertz, and we will be using 8 bits to represent each sample. So with that we say 64 kbps is the uh, uncompressed voice signal data. So that will be compressed by using voice encoders known as vocoders. Okay, so that depend upon what type of vocoders we use. So here it will be compressed to 8 kbps. Okay, so before compression it was 64 kbps. After passing it through the vocoders, it becomes 8 kbps. So with that, we will be able to accommodate more number of users per channel. Okay, here for this DAMPS system, it is shown still it requires 30 kilohertz per user as the channel bandwidth. So it can accommodate 3 users per channel. Okay, fine. So it allows multiple users per radio channel with each user talking one at a time since it is a TDMA system. So there will be a slot structure. Each one will be allotted certain amount of time to talk. Okay, it will be in terms of microseconds, hence we will not be able to find the discontinuity. Though they are all the 3 users are using the same channel, they will be talking at different times. Okay, and as I said, it has the ability of that is scalable technology. Means in 1G, the size of the handheld device was big, right? It is because of it is analog, right? So because of digital, so we know the cost of digital components is less and it weighs less also, right? And even it provides more security compared to analog one. Hence, we say it is pocket sized. Okay. Just as an illustration, all the three things here it is shown. As I said, with 1G, right? Though each user requires 30 kilohertz as the bandwidth, only one user per channel. Okay, only one user per radio channel. In case of 2G, with this DAMP system, okay, the DAMP system is also known as IS-54. Okay, in some of the North America, though it requires 30 kilohertz bandwidth, and it can accommodate 3 users per radio channel. That's why it is written ABC, then ABC like that. Okay, it can accommodate 3 users per channel. And another standard I said in 2G only, that is GSM. Okay, this has been initiated in Europe and other part. So here the bandwidth required is 200 kilohertz per user. Okay, in case of these two, it was only 30 kilohertz. But in case of GSM, the bandwidth required per user was 200 kilohertz, and it can accommodate 8 users for one channel. So that is why here it is written A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, from A to H, it is of 8 users to indicate it can accommodate 8 users. Hope I am clear. Is able to understand what was in 1G, in 2G, again what is in DAMPS, what is in GSM. Okay, so this is the bandwidth required for each user. In case of 1G, it was 30 kilohertz. Okay, one radio channel can accommodate only one user. In case of 2G, in that the digital AMP system, the bandwidth required per user is 30 kilohertz. It can accommodate 3 users per radio channel. In case of GSM system, the bandwidth required per user is of 200 kilohertz. It can accommodate 8 users per radio channel. So it also uses TDMA concept, that is TDMA as a multiple access technique. So 8 users can simultaneously talk over the same channel. That is what the concept. Okay, with respect to that, we say it can accommodate more number of users. Okay. So as I said, even in this case also, as I said, it still requires larger frequency gap to reduce the frequency interference, right? That is, if I consider this is one cell, right? And say these are the 3 different users. These 3 users are using one particular channel, and other 3 users are using some other particular channel. So the gap between these 2 channels should be still large. Okay, it requires more gap to reduce the interference, and it also requires unreliable hard handoff. Okay, we will see what is that. The handoff is when a user is moving from one cell to another cell. Is call should be continued, right? Without discontinuing or without disturbing, it should be changed over to another frequency. So that is known as the handoff. So it requires hard handoff. So in the same generation, okay, the CDMA has come into the picture. Okay, that is a code division, multiple access, and what we say it is it uses almost all the available spectrum to support more number of users. I hope you all know what is CDMA. I think it is not that you are very new to this, since we have discussed one module in digital communication, right? That is spread spectrum communication. So here what is done is it will be utilizing all the available spectrum, and what I can say is its ability to support many users, okay, with the same spectrum, right? And each user will be using a unique code. Now, that unique code is known as the pseudo-noise code, right? So by using that unique code, you will be able to differentiate from one user to another user. The same unique code has to be used at the receiver side also. Only they can able to establish communication among them, right? So here as an example shown with the same track, Okay, single truck can accommodate more number of users. Okay, and each user will be having a unique code. So with that, they will not be having any interference among us. That is what the idea of CDMA. Okay. Yeah, so just it is to recollect your understanding about CDMA. So at the transmitter side, as I said, as for different users like user A, user B, user C, each user information will be spreaded by using a pseudo-noise code, right? So user A, user B, user C, and so on. Each user information will be spreaded, and for each user there will be a unique code, right? So that will be multiplied with the user information. We call that process as spreading. Then it will be transmitted over the channel. So here the bandwidth required per user is 1.25 megahertz. Okay, so it takes more bandwidth. Okay, so at the receiver side also same unique code has to be used to reconstruct the original signal for that particular user. Okay, so the CDMA, it can accommodate multiple users, means multiple users can talk at the same time using different languages. That different language is nothing but a code, unique code. Okay, so in the previous case, bandwidth was only 2 kilohertz in case of GSM. With that, it can accommodate 8 users, but here bandwidth requirement is 1.25 megahertz. Okay, so number of users accommodated is also more here. Yeah, so these are some of the challenges were there in CDMA and which has been solved by Qualcomm. So one is the near for power challenge, second one is a cell edge challenge, and third one is the multipath fading challenge. So here what is a near for power challenge, right? So hope you will be able to understand this diagram. So user A is near to the base station, okay, and user B is far away from the base station. Okay, user A is using one unique code. It is written as code A, and user B is using another unique code. It is known as code B, right? So without power control, okay, without power control, user A, okay, has to spend so much of power. It is written here, right? Multiplied by that much. So with power control, user A and user B will be able to use the same amount of power. Okay. So here users close to the tower means here what is that near for power challenge is irrespective of their location of the user from the base station, the same amount of power will be utilized by all the users, right? So the user who is far away from the base station may be not able to get that much of power because he is far away from the base station. But the user who is very near to the base station will be getting more signal strength, means more power, right? So to avoid that problem, that is users close to the tower will be overpowered. Okay, the uplink signal will minimizing the capacity on the shared channel. So the solution to that is so continuous control of transmit power based on the signal strength. So based on the signal strength, means where they are. So depending upon the distance of the mobile user with the base station, the amount of power will be able to control by the base station to the users. So with that, we will be able to overcome that near for power challenge. Then another one is cell edge challenge. So I was talking about hard handoff and soft handoff, right? So here CDMA has adopted soft handoff. Okay, so means when the user is at the cell edge, see this is one cell and this is another cell. There will be a overlap of the coverage of the these two cells, right? When the user is at the cell edge, so it will be interfered with. Means he will be getting the signal from both the base stations, right? So it will be an interference caused to the user, right? So on the same frequency and communicating with different towers, right? So for that solution, what they have suggested is users simultaneously communicate with the multiple towers at cell heads. Means the user who is there at the cell heads, he can communicate simultaneously with this station also and with this base station also. That is known as the soft handoff. And multipath fading challenge is since the channel is wireless, right? When the signal travels from user A to user B, right? So it will take different paths. Okay. And when it is reaching user B, since it takes different paths because of so many obstructions in between transmitter and receiver, right? So there will be a delay at the receiver. Okay, so this is a signal shown with three different paths, path A, path B, and path C. When we assemble, when we added this is the total signal. Okay, so interference caused by the reception of the same signal over multiple paths, resulting in poor signal to noise ratio. As I said, the signal will take different path. Now, maybe the signal which is reaching at the receiver side, if it is delayed by some amount of time, means he may be receiving the same signal twice or thrice. Right? That leads to interference. So that is avoided by the use of rake receivers. I think I don't know whether you remembered or not. In digital communication, we have discussed about channel equalization. Okay, so that is one sort of solution to avoid this type of problem. Okay. Yeah, so these are some benefits of the CDMA technique. So it has increased the voice capacity by several times, and it provided more efficient use of the spectrum resource. It has increased the battery life in mobile device, and it provides more security. Okay. So how many times? So with respect to, as if I take reference for analog, it is in terms of 1 time. In case of GSM, it is of 3 times. That increase in capacity. In case of CDMA 1, it is almost around 14 times. Okay. Yeah, just it is the timeline of CDMA. I think means moving from 2G to 3G. Right. In CDMA, the first time was IS95. That is CDMA 1. Then WCDMA has come into the picture. So I think I will be able to say here, yes. Yeah, so these are the 3G technologies. Okay, CDMA establishes the foundation of 3G technologies, right? So CDMA 1 was known as IS95. That is the initial CDMA standard. From that, it has moved to CDMA 2000. Here it was using a bandwidth of or carrier of 1.25 megahertz. Right, then from CDMA 2000 to EVDO. EVDO is known as Evolution Data Optimized. Okay, so it is optimized data channel for CDMA 2000, providing mobile broadband services. So as I said, from CDMA 1 to this one, WCDMA, that is wideband code division multiple access. So it uses different carrier frequency. That is, it uses 5 megahertz as carrier. Okay, and the next version of that is HSPA, that is high speed packet access. So these are the 3G standards. It is mainly focused on CDMA evolution only in that. Okay, CDMA 1 to CDMA 2000, next EVDO, then WCDMA, then from EVDO to it has established HSPA, that is high speed packet access networks. So 3GPP is the third generation partnership project. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, just it is showing how evolved from 1G to 3G. I said these are the 3 different standards of 3G. Okay, CDMA 2000, EVDO, WCDMA, HSPA plus, then TD, SCDMA. So every 10 years, there is an upgradation in the or change in the mobile technology. The 80s, first standard, that is 1G. In 90s, 2G deployed. In 2000, 3G deployed. Okay. Yeah, just to say how this mobile voice was amazing and how consumers wanted more. Okay. So broadband internet to smartphone, right? You all may be understanding with this diagram. So because of amazing innovations in a device technology, so resulted in the era of smartphone. So what we say, mobile is everywhere, but in the earlier, in the 1990s, only 2 users have opted out of 100. And in the 2000, almost around 39 people have opted for this service or out of 100. In the 2010, what we say, 92 people have opted this service out of 100. So now you can imagine how many lakhs of people have opted or how many crores of people. Okay, I think that statistics we will be able to say from your side. Yeah, just it is how the data has been upgraded in 3G. Okay, that is EVDO optimized 3G for data enabling mobile broadband communication, right? So in case of 2G, it was able to support less than 0.5 Mbps of data, right? That is, it can provide to just SMS and simple with the GPRS, a little bit of data. But in case of mobile broadband, so this CDMA 2000 and as well as EVDO can support a data rate of around 14.7 Mbps. Okay. So just as an example is given here, just a text and simple email can be done with the 2G standard, right? So capable of efficiently supporting small data files, but with this CDMA 2000 and EVDB, able to accommodate voice and as well as large packet size. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it is just one more slide which will give you more clarity about the different services, how simple data services are provided in 2G, data enabled services, and in CDMA 2000 and EVDO. Right? So here with voice, CDMA 2000 concentrated on voice, but EVDO is for data. Give all resources to one user at a time. So that is data optimized, what we say. So hope you're understanding now. So with that, the diagrams, multimedia, browsing, navigation, right, different apps and all. So mobile broadband services could be provided by this technology. And here only with the text, email, and maybe simple news and all could be provided by this standard. Okay. Yeah. So what are the inventions? EVDO inventions are the foundations to the mobile broadband, right? So one is a data optimized channel. Second one is the adaptive modulation, and the third one is the opportunistic scheduling. So these are the three inventions which have made to provide the service of mobile broadband. So in case of data optimized channel, what is done? It will be splitting the channel into time intervals, enabling the single user to get all the resources at once. That we say it enables richer content. Okay. Then adaptive modulation, you all aware. So it uses a higher order modulation like a QAM, right? Instead of using just 16 QAM, they're using 32 or 64 or 128 or 254 QAM. With that, they are able to provide good amount of data rate with good signal quality. Okay, means the mobiles which are the users who are far away from the base station will be using the lower order modulation. That is what I want to say, it provides low data rates means it will be using the QPSK modulation. And the mobile which is near to the base station will be using the higher modulation technique. That is, it may be using 64 QAM or maybe 128 QAM. So with that, it is possible to achieve high data rates. So that is what the adaptive modulation is. And here this opportunistic scheduling is, it optimizes the channel by scheduling users at a time instances when users have good radio signal conditions. Okay, that we call as fairness. So that will increase overall capacity of the system. So just it is a given example here how the power will be. Power is also one of the resource. Okay, how it is allocated over time for different users. How user A and user B will be able to get the power. So here with this color, so user A is very near to the base station. Obviously, will be getting the more amount of power. And user A, that user B with the blue color, right? He is far away from the base station. We call he is at the cell heads. So power adapted to this is less when compared to user B, user A. Okay. Yeah, I think. Yeah, so in one slide they have told both the things, that is CDMA 2000, EVDO. I said EVDO is especially for data, right? CDMA 2000, it has accommodated voice with the same bandwidth, 1.25 megahertz and 1.25 megahertz. And this WCDMA and HSPA. So bandwidth allocated here is of 5 megahertz. So it can accommodate both voice and as well as data. Okay. So after voice users served, the remaining resource will be used for data based on the same principles of this EVDO. That is what is done in WCDMA or HSPA. Yeah, I think just to have a glimpse of that, how this mobile 3G evolved to HSPA plus and EVDO, that is version B. So delivering higher data rates, more capacity, and enhanced mobile broadband experiences was possible with the higher order modulation. As I said, now it introduces 64 QAM, enabling 50% more bits per second per hertz. So here that example is also given here. Okay, and so this enabled packing 50% more data into packages. And another technique known as carrier aggregation is also used for aggregating the spectrum, enabling the increased user and peak data rates. So this carrier aggregation is nothing but what? Here just an analogy is given. Okay, here there are two trucks, right? Each truck may be carrying some capacity. So you can think that each truck is one carrier. Okay, carrier one, carrier two. So here this is the aggregated pipe, means both combined and made as a single one. Obviously, it will be able to accommodate more than that. So aggregate channels for higher data rates. Okay. So it requires still more deeper understanding. Will let us see when we discuss these things in our regular topic. Then I will be able to throw more light on this. As of now, at least, if I say carrier aggregation, at least this analogy should come to your mind. Okay, carrier one, carrier two, you think each has one pipe. So those pipes will be aggregated into a single pipe. Or you can think of individual truck as one carrier. And when we club it, then we call that as a carrier aggregation. So these 3G technologies have optimized the mobile for data. Okay. So just what are the benefits of this EVDO and HSPA? I'm saying here, so it is possible to deliver a throughput more than 2 Mbps, and it has reduced the operator cost for data services, and there will be a continuous evolution for enhanced services, right? So in case of 2G with this GSM and GPRS, I said it could provide less than 0.5 Mbps data. With 3G, with the CDMA 2000 and EVDO, right, with the different revolutions, it can see one is 3.1 Mbps, another one is 14.7 Mbps, right? That is a peak data rate, what I'm saying. With the 3G, that is WCDM and HSPA, right? Then HSPA, then HSPA plus, right? With that, possible to accommodate with HSPA, that is from 14.4 Mbps to 63 plus Mbps. So the main point or thing what we need to carry is more hungry for data. Okay, so whatever the technology has evolved, so that technology could accommodate more data rate. Okay, so next comes the 4G. Okay, so just look this slide for 1 minute, and just I ask some of you to interpret this. In what way 4G is different from other versions? So in 2010, you say 4G has been deployed. So from which year you started experiencing this in India, at least in Bangalore? Anyone can say when you could hear this VoLTE? Which operator was the first operator to deploy this VoLTE service?
Geo.
Huh?
Geo, sir.
Geo. Okay. In which year?
2015.
2015, right? Yeah. Good. So though it is deployed in the year 2010, not be in India, right? It is in some other countries. Yes, what is able to take away from this slide? One G, 2G, 3G, 4G, all given in one slide, and mentioned the standards also. In 4G, I said LTE and LTE advanced, right? So it can provide faster and better mobile broadband services with more data capacity. Okay, let us see how this LTE could accommodate or could provide faster and as well as better mobile broadband communication. That is why your course topic is wireless cellular broadband 4G LTE. Okay. Yeah. So mobile 4G LTE complements 3G to boost data capacity. So in 4G, providing more data capacity for richer content and more connections. Okay, how that is possible? With multi-mode, means here it uses FDD and TDD. Both the duplexing techniques it has adopted. Any one of you can say what is this FDD and TDD? I said it is a duplexing techniques. These two are the duplexing techniques. It means expansion, FDD and TDD. Yes, what do you mean by duplexing technique? Yes, anyone is having idea? Duplexing technique? Yes, Sushmita.
Yes,
Sushmita. Yeah, what do you mean by duplexing?
sir.
I'm asking question, what do you mean by duplexing techniques? I
Sir,
have
we
shown
have
there in
different.
LTE.
Yes, sir. We
Yeah,
have different types of duplexing, sir.
yeah. What do you mean by so here two things I have mentioned. One is FDD, another one is TDD. First, can you tell the expansion of these two?
Sir, time division duplexing and frequency division duplexing.
Very good, very good. One is frequency division duplexing and second one is time division duplexing. So is it possible to say what is frequency division duplexing and what is time division duplexing?
Sir, time division duplexing, it's like allocating uh, different, like in the same if we take a same frequency band, we
Yeah.
can allocate different users at different time. So
Okay.
whereas in frequency division, maybe it is vice versa of that, like in the same like given in one band or one time constraint at a different frequency bands, we can connect different users or allocate different users.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody wants to add to Sushmita's understanding? Yes. Others can add what she said. No. In addition to that, if you have anything to add, you can add. Just is a very basic. What I asking is FDD and TDD. Yes. Nobody can add. Yes. Lavanya. Lavanya is not there. Yes. Akshata. Akshata, can you add to the sayings of Sushmita? She said something about FDD and TDD. Yes, Akshata. So no Akshata. Yes, Navya. No Navya also. So simply they've logged in, not talking. Hmm? Ritu,
Yes, sir.
what after asking so much of time, after 5 minutes you're realizing. I said
No,
that
sir.
Sushmita said something about FDD and TDD. Have you heard what she said?
Yes, sir.
Can you add on to that? Your understanding about FDD and TDD?
Yes, sir. Like both FDD and TDD are two spectrum usage techniques. Like both are the forms of duplex, so which can be used for mobile or fixed wireless broadband links.
Okay, in
Like
FDD, what is
FDD,
done?
FDD needs two separate frequency bands or channels to transmit, sir.
Only for transmit or transmit and receive?
So for both transmit and receive.
For transmitting one channel and receiving another channel.
Receiving other channel.
Okay, that is frequency division duplexing. So they will not be able to communicate over a single channel, both transmission and as well as reception. That is known as FDD. Okay, so if you have to assume that user A wants to talk to user B. Okay, so if they are using FDD technique, they need two separate channels, one for transmission, another one for reception. Okay, but in case of TDD, they will be able to talk and listen simultaneously with a single channel. That is what the TDD is. Okay, hope understood.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the analogy to give is for FDD, we can think that it is you need pairs, no? Slipper, you need pairs. With one slipper, you can't go, right? Will you be able to go with one slipper?
No, sir.
Ah, it will look awkward, na? You don't want to go with one slipper like that. Okay, so FDD means it requires two separate channels, one for transmission, another one for reception. But TDD with a single channel, they will be able to talk and receive signal simultaneously. Okay, so that is one thing. So these are both are adopted in LTE. And yes, with 4G, the multi-mode. Okay, and I will come to this. So enabling a consistent broadband experience outside 4G LTE coverage, delivering ubiquitous voice service and global roaming, all led to the multimode communication, what we can say. So yeah, let me say here with this one slide, how does this 4G LTE is possible to deliver more data capacity? Okay. Yes, just think here, what is there? Here I have shown arrow mark this side and this side. So here it is written flexible support for wide channels supporting more users. Okay. So one I said that is possible with the use of OFDM, then multi antenna techniques. That is what is written here. Create spatially separated pods with more antennas. Okay. Then another technique is aggregate channels for higher data rates. That is what carrier aggregation. Okay. So here two trucks with what? Uh, two floors, I can say, right? So by aggregating, we'll be able to achieve more capacity. So let us see how this OFDM and this has made to accommodate more number of users when we are discussing that technology. Okay, so just to give you the glimpse of that 4G LTE, how it delivers more data capacity, right? So you'll be able to download, browse, stream, and game faster than ever with the faster and better connectivity. So that is possible with, so you will be able to connect faster with wider channels. So here there is a flexible support for channels up to 20 megahertz, which is enabled with OFDMA. So in case of whatever the technologies we have discussed so far, there the bandwidth is fixed. Okay, in case of 1G, it was only 30 kilohertz. And even in case of 2G, for DAMPS, it was 30 kilohertz. Next for GSM, it was 200 kilohertz, right? Then for CDMA 1, then CDMA 2000, it was 1.25 megahertz. Then it was 5 megahertz for other things. Here, up to 20 megahertz. So here it starts from 1.4 megahertz to 20 megahertz. So 1.4 megahertz, 3 megahertz, 5 megahertz, 10 megahertz, 15 megahertz, and 20 megahertz. So these are the different bandwidths. Okay, that flexibility is there. So depending upon the requirement, it can switch over to different bandwidths. So that is what the meaning of that, wider channels. Okay, and second thing is more antennas. So that is the use of MIMO technology. Okay, advanced MIMO techniques to create spatially separated paths. So here just shown an example of 2x2 MIMO mainstream. And third one is the carrier aggregation, which I've already discussed with the different carriers. If you think each of one pipe, then it will be aggregated as a single data pipe with a capacity of 100 megahertz. Okay. So that is with these techniques, technologies, we'll be able to connect faster. Then connect in real time. So means uh, connect in real time in the sense, if I want to make a connection, okay, to the another end, it should be able to connect in less amount of time. Okay, means whatever the data or voice to be transmitted, it should take less time. That is latency. Okay, in case of other standards, latency was more. In case of 4G, the latency was I think around 10 milliseconds. Okay, so with the two things, it is possible to connect in real time. One is simplifying the core network. Means in the core network, in case of earlier standards, that is in 2G, the more number of elements were there. That is all the mobiles will be connected to the base stations, and then those base stations will be connected to base station controller. Then several base station controllers are connected to mobile switching center. Okay, then from mobile switching center to other network elements to the cloud or to the internet. But in case of here, the number of network elements have been reduced. Okay, I think that you will be able to understand how the number of elements have been reduced. With that, how it is possible to, as we reduce the number of elements in the network, obviously it takes less time to move data from one network element to another network element. So with that, we say the latency has been reduced. Okay, that is the second thing. Then, okay, this is all just about the statistics. How, when it is launched, I mean, how many countries, what is its this one. Okay, so just to understand about LTE, FDD, and TDD, here's a given. See, FDD, right, uses two spectrums, spectrum 1 for uplink and spectrum 2 for downlink. Okay, uplink is from base station to mobile, then sorry, uplink is from mobile to base station, and downlink is from base station to mobile. Okay, so in case of TDD, as I said, it uses single spectrum only, and it will be accommodated both transmission and as well as reception. That is uplink, downlink is done here. So it is what paired spectrum. It enables better coverage, and this one we call it as unpaired spectrum, enables asymmetrical downlink and uplink for more downlink capacity. That is why the width of the downlink is more. Okay. Means it can accommodate more number of users. Yeah, I think this is all about just to begin. Okay, what are the techniques, technologies for 4G? Just it is the timeline what we have discussed so far, how it has advanced. So 4G said no, it is continuing to evolve for delivering faster and better mobile broadband experiences. Started with LTE. So here there are different releases. So release 8 and 9 are known as just LTE. Then release 10 is known as LTE Advanced. 10, 11, 12, even I think as of now it is of around 17. Release 17 is going on. So okay, from release 10 onwards, it is known as LTE Advanced. Okay, this is about the timeline of this, or what I can say, how it has evolved the 4G, and this is all about 3G. Okay. Yeah, of course, this is one of the very important equation which you all should aware. That is, how do we, that is Shannon's law, what we say. I think you might have heard this in ITC. Yes, have you heard about this? Yes, are you aware of the Shannon's law? Hello? Anyone can respond, no? Are you aware of the Shannon's law? Yes, I am asking you people only. Are you aware of Shannon's law? What I am displayed?
No, sir.
You are
No,
not.
sir.
This is one of the important equation. What we can say means how the capacity of a channel, okay, will be determined. Okay, so at least now, at least you can have the opportunity to learn about this. Just understand. C is the capacity. Okay, that will be approximated as W into N into log of 1 plus SNR with base 2. Okay, as I said, C is the capacity, right? And W is the bandwidth, or we can say spectrum. Okay, so more the spectrum. Okay, so more the spectrum means what? So here, so making the best use of all the spectrum types with more licensed spectrum as the top priority. So I think 3.5 gigahertz and ASA as the licensed one. And I hope you are all aware ISM band also, so which is unlicensed one, right? So this is about the spectrum, okay? And N is the number of antennas. So more the number of antennas, right? More the number of antennas, we will be able to achieve more capacity because it's directly proportional, right? The capacity is directly proportional to the spectrum, the number of antennas, right? Advanced multiple antenna techniques are used to create spatially separated data paths. One example is given with 4x4 MIMO can provide a receive diversity, right? Then here SNR, that is signal to noise ratio, that will indicate what is the signal quality, right? Signal to noise ratio, right? It should be high. Then we say the signal quality is better. Okay. So advanced receivers and antenna techniques like which are used in LTE have advanced device receivers. So this is the expression for capacity, a channel. I hope you should be aware. If not, at least try to understand now. C is equal to W into N into log of 1 plus SNR with base 2. It is one of the most widely used and known phenomena or expression, especially all telecommunication engineers should be aware of this formula. Okay, I think with this, let me stop with this. I think this is just an glimpse of the evolution of 1G to 4G. Okay, I tried to just throw some light upon this. So let me start with the actual syllabus from tomorrow. Okay, is that fine? So
Yes, sir.
you all can write your USN in the chat box.